of nose. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. My name is Ire Culture. Nice to meet some of you guys in person. I know that we've had conversations over group chats and stuff like that. My name again is Ire Culture, and today I will be your host. But before we even go into the agenda for today, how many of you know the person by your side? You know the person by your side very, very well. Okay, I see that some of us are more into this. Can we move here a bit? Do we mind? Just move in. Let's just have, a group together. Gentleman on green, what's your name, please? Jamie. Okay, nice to meet you, Jamie. Please move in. Thank you. Hey, now this is what I like. It's what? Sorry, don't worry, we'll be out of here soon. Okay, now, I was asking, how many of you know the person by your left or by your right? You know them very well, Abby? No problem. What primary school did you go to? You said you know them very well, so I want to be very certain, right? Do you know? Amazing. Hi, good morning. How are you? What's your name?
Promise.
Nice to meet you, Promise. So what exactly are you expecting from today's session?
I'm expecting to learn a lot, everything I don't know about playlisting and Spotify in general.
Okay, so how long have you been in this industry for, or you're just trying out for the first time?
Yeah, my first year, actually.
Your first year? You're already looking like one of us, like the Odogus, right? Hi, good morning. What's your name?
Hi, good morning. My name is Wisdom.
Hey, God, please, spill it on me. Wisdom. Please, can we say hi, Wisdom? I apologize that I didn't do that for you. So what exactly are you looking forward to in today's session?
I'm looking forward to learning from everybody and to network with people.
Network. So you're not here for the playlisting?
Of course, learning is part of the process, yes.
All right. Amazing. Thank you. Hello. I love your smile and your energy.
Thank you.
So what's your name and what are you looking forward to learning?
My name is Janelle. I'm looking forward to learning more about Spotify and playlisting in general, and obviously getting to spend time with other people.
Amazing, get to spend time. And I do hope that even after now, we can make even more meaningful and deep connections here. So a very big shout out to Spotify, a very, very big shout out to the MBA, and a very, very big shout out to the British Council. Please can we put our hands together for these three amazing bodies? Because without them, we will not be here today. And of course, we are going to be focusing on the introduction to playlists and partnerships, right? Playlists and partnerships, because these two topics generally are one of the main vehicles that drive whatever we do in the music industry and all that we are trying to achieve, right? If you're working with an artist or anywhere around this industry, playlists are very important, right? Partnership is, of course, very important to whatever it is that we do. And today we're here to tap from the knowledge of playlisting and partnership, especially from Spotify. Without wasting too much of our time, I'm going to be introducing one of the representatives from Spotify. He's no other person but a man of wisdom, a very comported man. He does not like to do too much or talk too much, but when he talks, your pages will be full. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Mr. Victor Okpala. Let's do better. Thank you. Let's keep clapping until it comes up. Hey. Thank you. This one, okay.
Hey, yo, good morning. There's too many men in the house. It's Women Month. Where are the women? I'm glad you guys are here. Really, it's good to have you guys here. I want this to be as interactive as possible. This is not let me just do a quick check. Cool. I want this to be as interactive as can be. I don't want this to feel like a corporate event. Does that make sense? And at any point, I think what we might do is when I run through each segment of the presentation, I would open up for you guys to ask any questions you might have. Does that make sense? So to get a feel and a sense of the people we have in the room, how many people here are artists? Just wave if you're an artist. Okay. All right. How many people here are artist managers? All right. For the guys that didn't raise up your hand, do you want to tell us what you do?
What do you say?
What do you do? A&R? A&R and PR. What about you? Okay. A&R? Artist manager? Talent manager? I know, Shadi. No, it's fine. It's fine. What about you? What do you do? Producer, record producer, right? TV. All right. What do you do? Artist manager, artist. What do you do? Say that again. Why are you here? I'm joking. All right. What do you do? Did I ask you already? Huh? What did you say? Oh, okay. Sound engineer. All right, cool. Nice to meet you all. Hi. I guess I would say I'm Spotify. I was supposed to have Fiona here, but I don't think she can make it. Fiona is our head of music for Africa, and my name, like Ire said, my name is Victor Okpala. I look after artists and label partnerships at Spotify. I think that regardless of what you do, the content of this conversation would be useful for you. And I think my hope is at the end of this interaction, you get a better sense of how we think about partnerships from a Spotify point of view and the philosophies we have around playlisting. You know, many people want to get on Spotify playlists. Like internally, how do we think about programming at Spotify? And what are some of the red things you should avoid as you go about, seeking support and hopefully partnership from Spotify? And I want to assure all of you, regardless, is it possible to sort on that?
Just move it a bit. Just move it a bit because of the sound wave. Just move it a bit.
Okay. You guys, was that a problem for you? Because it was for me.
You can just move it this way.
Right. So I think the good news is, regardless of the stage you're at in your career, that's a way to partner with Spotify. Partnership isn't reserved for the big three or whatever. We kind of, at the end of this conversation, I want us to begin to reframe how we think about the word partnerships. And for those of you who just want to be execs, not necessarily as talent managers or artist managers, if you want to take my job at some point in the future, this is also the forum for you to get into my head and the way that we think about how we engage artists and their teams, right? So this is what we're going to touch throughout this conversation. We're going to talk about Spotify today, what Spotify looks like as a business and also in the African context. We're going to do like a quick market recap. Is it possible to do without this? It's a big problem for me, please. Oh, that's better. Can you guys hear me? Well, what about the students that are tuning online? Is this what they are using? So I can just do this without using the. Fantastic. All right, this is way better. All right. So we're going to talk about market recap. So here I'm just going to talk about some of the most recent projects that we've done that I am personally excited about that I think you guys should know. And then I'm going to talk about Spotify for Artists, which is the app that we have for artists. So everything that you do on the Spotify for Artists app is what your listeners see on the front end, which is the app that everybody listens to the music on. Make sense? And then I'm going to talk about playlist and music discovery, how we think about discovery on Spotify, right? And then I'm going to talk about programs and partnerships, the different ways that we partner with artists. And then I'm going to leave you guys with some resources that you can sort of like go and sort of like digest in your own spare time. And in many ways, if you really spend time with these resources, you probably won't need another masterclass like this, honestly, okay? All right, so I'll start by sharing with you guys what the mission of Spotify is, which is to unlock the potential of human creativity by giving 1 million creative artists the opportunity to live up their arts and billions of fans the opportunity to be inspired by it. Right? It sounds like a very grand vision, but I'll tell you for free that we're getting closer and closer to this mission as we progress, and I'll show you some numbers. At present, we have 626 million monthly active users, so we are inching close to 1 billion, which is what we hope to hit very soon. This means that every month, more than 500 million people come to Spotify to listen to music, right? And that's an incredible amount of reach, right? Also, out of these 626 million people, 246 million of them respect your art as an artist enough to pay every month. It is in their monthly expenses to pay to listen to your music, which is incredible. And also, we are live in 184 markets across the world, obviously including Nigeria, and wherever you're tuning in from for the people that are online. And then we just released some numbers yesterday. Last year, Spotify paid out 10 billion to rights holders, right? And so since Spotify launched, it's paid out a total of 60 billion to rights holders. And by the way, 10 billion that was paid out last year is the highest that has ever been paid out in the history of recorded music, right? So if you think about the CD era and back in the day, all of the ways that music has been distributed from time, at no point has anyone ever generated 10 billion in revenue for recorded music. So Spotify last year generated 10 billion, which is a huge milestone, and I hope that we're going to surpass that in the coming years. And again, that's a testament to the fact that there's an understanding of the fact that people see the value in music enough to pay for it, right? And then we are getting further and further away from bootlegging. People will go to download music on all these websites for free and all of that. So the value in music is becoming even more clear to the average person on the streets, right? So I'm going to show you guys, like I said, some of the recent projects. Who's Joe? Just check. I think there's something on my screen from your side. There's something going on your laptop that's writing stuff on my screen. Just double check. Or is it from here? My apologies. Okay. So I'm going to talk through 3 things right now. Number 1 is Loud and Clear. Number 2 is a campaign we did at some point last year, and a campaign we did a few weeks ago, right? This is going to be a problem. This thing that's on the screen. How do I erase it? There's something on the screen. I'm not sure how it came on. It's back, Joel. I don't know who Joel is. It's writing stuff on the screen. The people connected can influence our screen like this. Fantastic. All right. So Loud and Clear. For those of you who don't know, there's something called Spotify Loud and Clear. It's part of the resources I'll leave you guys with at the end of this session. So Loud and Clear is something that Spotify launched a couple of years ago, and it's a website or a microsite where you can go to see how Spotify distributes money to rights holders. Right? By rights holders, sometimes it could be you as the artist making the music. It could be the people who you have licensed the music to and whatnot, right? So Loud and Clear Spotify's efforts at being transparent about the money and how the money moves, right? So we released a Loud and Clear data yesterday for Nigeria specifically. And the data says that in 2024, Spotify paid out 58 billion naira to Nigerian rights holders. This is the most revenue generated by Nigerians since Spotify launched in 2021, right? Which, if we're localizing the conversation of people value music enough to pay for it, there's a trickle-down effect that is now prominent, and clear in the Nigerian context. Also, Nigerian artists generating over 10 million naira in royalties from Spotify alone has more than doubled since 2023, right? Assuming we had like 1,000 artists earning 10 million naira annually from Spotify in 2023, this year we had 2,000, which means, again, there's growth. And half of the Nigerian artists who generated 1 million naira on Spotify in 2023 self-distributed their music through platforms like TuneCore, DistroKid, and whatnot. So what this implies is that all of these numbers, it's not just about the big guys. The small guys who don't know anybody, who just go online, upload their music through these self-services, and they're able to generate up to 1 million naira off of just the recorded music, right? Which is a good thing, which means emerging artists are not left out of the conversation of revenue as far as Spotify goes. Another thing I also want to highlight is that 1,900 plus artists were added to editorial playlists in 2024. So this means that last year alone, if there are 1,900 artists in Nigeria, this is all Nigeria, by the way, in Nigeria that never got on any Spotify owned playlist, more of them were added to the playlist. It is a 33% increase from 2023, which again means that we are impacting emerging artists in more meaningful ways, right? And I hope that at the end of this session, you leave knowing that Spotify doesn't exist just for the big guys. It exists for you as well, and there's data to back it up, right? Which brings me to the next thing I want to talk about. I think my stuff is disconnected. You want to manually go to the next slide for me? I don't mind. Yes. Are you going to take charge of going next one because it's not? Okay, it's working now. Thank you. All right. Which brings me back to a campaign that we did last year in June. It was a very bold campaign, right? So as you know, New Music Friday is Spotify's most sought after playlist every Friday, right? Usually the New Music Friday playlist is dominated by the big guys, right? Let's say today is Friday. If you go on New Music Friday, if you look at the cover of the playlist, it's probably somebody you know, right? There's a Davido song out today. It's probably Davido on the cover if I'm trying to make a wild guess, right? So usually it's a playlist that's dominated by the big guys, just in the interest of the consumers, right? So the consumers go there to see what's out this Friday. And many times will probably be a split of maybe, usually it's 50 songs on the playlist every Friday. So it's usually a split of, let's say, out of the 50 songs, 30 of them are by guys you know, right? Because you want listeners to listen to the playlist. So you want to curate stuff that would sort of like hold their interest. And then the remaining 20 is like by emerging guys scattered all over. But we said we wanted to flip the script. It's never been done in Spotify's history. We said, you know, this particular Friday, which was the 14th of June, no matter who is releasing music, we're only going to put emerging artists on this playlist, which is something that's never been done before. It was a huge thing, especially for partners who are expecting that, oh, we have a big release this week, our songs should be in this playlist. We're like, no, this particular day isn't about you, it's about emerging artists. So what we had done is we selected 5 emerging artists to be on the cover of the playlist, and we flipped the script. Instead of having 30 big guys and 20 small guys, we did 30 small guys and 20 big guys. And then in terms of prioritization, the small guys are prioritized first on the playlist, right? And so we did this group photo shoot, which had Taves, Shine to the World, Solace Forever, Lona, and K-Style on the cover. And we didn't stop at just the playlist cover. We also shot like a short hero video featuring all of them. We also produced some New Music Friday merch, sort of like amplify the campaign. And then we also produced some magazines, right, which we distributed to some influencers, some people to drive and awareness for the campaign, right? And then it didn't stop there. We also deployed some on-platform promo to amplify that today is already the emerging artists on Spotify, courtesy of this playlist. So we did something called the mobile home banner, which is if you use Spotify, if you go on your app, there's like a shelf you see when you open the app, you see that it's New Music Friday and it's emerging artists. The same thing we did, like push notifications to all Spotify users across all English-speaking countries in Africa, platforming emerging artists. And then we also did in-app pop-ups, right? And at the end of the campaign, we saw that a lot of emerging artists that were programmed in this playlist, they went from, if they were like tier 4 artists, they went up to tier 3. If they were tier 3, they went up to tier 2, right? And it was a testament to the fact that this is a place that is very sought after, and it was a bold move to say, look, we're going to focus on the emerging guys today. Another thing that we did recently that I was very proud of, we did this about 3 weeks ago in January, last week of January, was what we call Fresh Finds Sessions. I'll tell you guys more about Fresh Finds later. But Fresh Finds is our playlist for emerging artists, right? Mostly artists that have never been signed. So usually as a everyday artist, you would likely get your first ever playlist on Fresh Finds, right? If you're saying, oh, I got a Spotify playlist for the first time, it's likely going to be Fresh Finds because it's a platform that we've kept exclusively for artists that have not been signed. So you don't need to have my email address or my number. The editors just listen to the music and feel like this music is good, even if you have just one listener, one monthly listener, on the merit of the music. We're going to program you. So we said we wanted to extend Fresh Finds beyond just a playlist. We wanted to make it a property that lives beyond the platform online, right? So what we are doing is we organized a 3-day camp where we selected 12 emerging artists, all unsigned, up just the strength of this person has consistently put out good music in the past few months. There's something here, right? So 12 artists, we brought 3 songwriters, and we brought 6 producers. So what we did was all of these people, we put them in a particular building, and we had them, gave them access to free recording studios. So they were able to record music for free at no cost. There were producers and there were songwriters to help them. And the objective was really to incentivize innovation at the lower level. My theory is this, which is I'm going to derail a bit and I'll come back. Like I said, I want this to be very conversational. My theory is the bottom always fits the top. If Wizkid puts out an album that is too experimental, the risk level is higher for him. But if you put out an album that's super experimental, the risk level is lower because there's not a lot of people that will backlash you and say, oh, this is right. So many times it's important that people at your level innovate, because when you innovate and you reach a point where it's like, oh, there's a proof of concept, the top can fit into what you've created. And I can give you examples. If you think about one of the most successful albums in modern African music history is Made in Lagos. Go and look at the credits. Most of the songwriters come from the Hotel movement. The biggest song from that album, Essence, is associated to the Hotel movement. But that was a movement that was started as far back as the mid-2010s, right? And those guys kept on experimenting and innovating until they perfected what would become the sound that the top came fed into, right? I can give you another example. Rema's album last year that's the music that we listen to on the streets in Agege by people that you don't even know their names, right? But they've experimented so much that they've perfected the sound and the top can come and feed into it. And it favors the entire ecosystem, right? So the bottom always fits the top. So what happens when the bottom stops innovating? You have a big problem, right? So the point of this exercise was to let the bottom know that we see you. You play a huge role in this exercise and in this entire movement, and we want to enable you to continue to create and innovate, right? So that's what we did. We said to them, look, this is free studio across 3 days. You have songwriters at your disposal. You have producers at your disposal. Create without fear. Create whatever you want to create. Nobody's going to say it's a bad idea. And that's what happened. So all 12 artists created one song each. And we also brought in some mentors. Saz came in as a mentor. He spoke to them about his journey. Was the fly in the wall in some of the recording sessions. If you land on an idea and you're not sure, there's someone even tell you, no, I think that's a good idea. Don't lose your confidence. And it was a big confidence booster for a lot of them. We also had Black Bones, Lil J, Oxley. They all came in to show support to these emerging artists. A lot of them would never had the chance to see these people at this stage in their career, more or less have the chance to speak to them and co-create with them, right? And then we also did some education sessions, which included a free media training. So we did free media training. So because if you think about it, at this stage in your careers, nobody is really trying to teach you about how to deal with the media, right? So we had our head of PR at Spotify. Her name is Michelle. She did a 45 minutes crash course on how to deal with the media as an emerging artist. We also realized that a lot of these artists at this point in their career don't have big marketing budgets. They don't even have a marketing team. So what we had done was, I would need us to reduce the movements. What we had done was we said, we brought Black Bones to do a content marketing course. Because if you think about it, all you have is social media, the internet, and your phone. And who has done it better than Black Bones? So he sat with them and told them the way that he thinks about content, even as someone that has graduated to a point where he has big marketing budgets. And that was very useful for them. I also did like a session called Split Sheets 101, help them understand like the corporate side of this business, right? It's not just about creating and creating and creating. There's money to be made. And if the paperwork isn't correct, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. So this was like what we covered with this session, and I thought it was very useful. So that happened in January. And I will say this, and there's going to be a session where I'll talk more about Fresh Finds. We're going to be doing a lot more stuff around fresh finds and with fresh finds and with artists at like the early stages of your career. So don't be surprised if you get a DM from me randomly saying, hey, I like your music. I'd like you to do what we're doing, because that's how it usually works. A lot of the guys that participated, I've never, like, I don't know them from anywhere. I don't know their managers. Many of them don't even have managers. It was just me hearing music, DMing people to say, I like what I hear. Spotify would like to work with you, right? So again, I'm saying that I want you guys to know that you play a huge role because you guys fit the top. And the thing about fitting the top is that that's your fastest way to get to the top, right? Like you don't get to the top if you're not contributing. There's too many people trying to participate, not enough people trying to contribute, right? So if you have something to contribute, you feed the ecosystem and you sort of like feed your own growth as well. All right. So now I'm going to go into, you know what, let's do a quick Q&A. If anyone has any questions, and I see some people are trying to get in, I think that's a good chance to ask questions. Any questions around market recap? Are you guys saying I'm a really good teacher? All right, I'll take that. All right, now I'm going to tell you guys about Spotify for Artists, which I think should be your best friend, right? No matter what you do, even if you sign a big record deal, even as a talent manager, if your artist signs a big record deal or whatever, you must have access to your own Spotify for Artists, right? And I'm going to explain why in the next couple of slides. And the good thing is the platform allows for multiple people to have access. So you can have distributor access, you can have manager access, you can have artist, you can have admin access, and all these different layers of access. It's super key that you have access so you can be in the front row of how your career is tracking, right? So, like I said, Spotify for Artists is the tool that powers the front end, right? So there's an app for it and there's a website for it. So if you go on artists.spotify.com, you'll be able to see Spotify for Artists. If you have a Spotify profile, you can claim your account. It's a very simple process. You don't need to call anybody. Just submit your email, you'll verify that you're the one associated with the account and don't grant you access. It's as simple as ABC, right? But what does Spotify for Artists do? First of all, with Spotify for Artists, you can verify your account, right? So the verification badge a lot of you pay for on Twitter, you don't get to pay on Spotify, right? It's free for all. Just like I said, just put the right information in your email. As long as you're able to confirm that you're really the one associated with that account, your account gets verified, right? And then what are the things you can do through Spotify for Artists app? You can manage your profile images. So if you go on Spotify, the picture that you see on your Spotify profile, that's where you change it within the Spotify for Artists backend, right? It's the same place where you can update your bio, right? And I always advocate that for artists to update their bio. There's too many artists that I've listened to their music and I found their Instagram page from their Spotify for Artists bio, and that's how I DM them or reach out to them, right? So I don't think it's something you should take for granted. It's not I think that at the end of this interaction, I want you to begin to treat your Spotify profile like your every other social media platform that you utilize, right? So you can write your bio, you can link your social media, so you can link your Twitter, your Instagram, and whatnot to your Spotify bio. And trust me, a lot of people get discovered through that, right? And again, you want to convert fans from just passive listeners to people who are actually invested. So you want to convert them from just listening on Spotify to tapping into everything else that you have going on across all your social media platforms. Make sense? Also, you can promote your shows. We have a partnership with Shopify. I have a partnership with Ticketmaster. So whenever you have a show, your show listed on all of these platforms, it automatically appears on your Spotify profile. So if you're promoting a tour and whatnot, you can sort of like know that when people listen to your music, they can also attend your shows, like a funnel, right? And you can sell merch. Like I said, Shopify. Once you connect your Shopify with your Spotify account, if you list anything for merchandise on Shopify, it shows up on your Spotify profile. I don't have the numbers off head right now, but I wish I did. But we just got the numbers for what we generated in terms of merch sales last year, and it's in the billions as well for artists. And the thing about merch sale is that 100% of the money goes to you. There's no distribution deal, anybody in the middle trying to take a cut from it. 100% of your merch sale typically goes, especially if you're the one setting up your Shopify by yourself and controlling all of that. So it's additional revenue for you beyond just recorded music, right? Another thing, you can track your progress. So what you typically see is there's a data page where you can see how your song is performing, the cities where most of your listeners are coming from, the countries, the states, and what. I feel like there's no point saying it that you can begin to think about planning small shows just based on that data and that information. I remember there's this artist called Rikasani. I'm not sure if any of you know Rikasani. I remember how in 2017, 18, I wasn't even at Spotify then, but I remember the story of how it got his first couple of shows in East Africa. Like Rikasani is the only Nigerian artist that I think has done multiple shows in Malawi. Like we don't even do you guys know where Malawi is? A lot of people don't even know. But like it got wind of the fact that a lot of people listening to his music in Malawi. A lot of you just think about Lagos, London, LA, New York, but there's people all around the world and the data can inform you. So I remember because Sani was saying that he was looking at his Spotify and he saw that he had so many people listening to his music in Malawi. So he started setting up Facebook ads, targeting Malawi some more. And then he put out a poster to say, RSVP if you want to see me perform in Malawi. Facebook ads targeting them. And there were so many people RSVPing. And that's how we did a show of 15,000 capacity in Malawi in 2018, right? Data informed. You get me? So another thing you can do is, like I said, you can add your roster and team. Your manager can have access. You can have access. Your distribution partners can have access. Everybody can have access, different levels of access. And then the most important thing, I'll tell you for free. Even if I give you my email address right now to say, if you have new music coming, send me an email. If you don't pitch your music through Spotify for artists, there's literally nothing we can do. You know why? When you pitch the music through Spotify for artists, it comes on our back end. So number one, you don't need to send me a private link to listen to your music. If you pitch it, we already have the music on our back end. So if you're saying, oh, we want support, we can't support what we have not listened to. So when you pitch it, we're able to listen to it and the editors can determine where this song best sits in terms of programming, right? So I'm going to go into the playlist portion soon, but just never forget that if you don't pitch your music through Spotify for artists, there's no conversation to be had about whatever. And I'll tell you for free, this applies to even the biggest artists. We're always fighting, guys. You have new music coming, you haven't pitched it on Spotify for artists. Like, we can't hear the music. We don't like to listen to private links or third-party links. We have a system design, but once you pitch the music, we have the music. We can listen to the music and consider it for programming. And it's wise to pitch it as far ahead as possible. So the editors have enough time to listen, and so it's not just a one-time listen. Do you get what I mean? So again, just go to artist.spotify.com. You'll find the platform, you can claim your profile and begin to utilize it. Also, there's an app. If you go to your Play Store, your App Store, you can find the app for all of that. Also, in the Spotify for Artists app, there are more expression tools. Expression tools are like stuff like Canvas, right? Where when someone is listening to your music, they're not just seeing the artwork. You can get a bit more creative, right? To express yourself and the intention of the music through canvases. Right, so that you have to upload also through Spotify for artists, right? Countdown pages. We launched our countdown pages 2 years ago. So what that means is a native pre-save tool within the app. And I'll tell you this: we found that 70% of users who have pre-saved an album usually listen within the first week. Let me explain this to you. It's the simple science of being able to predict what your future looks like or your future release looks like, right? So you have a song coming in, let's say, last week of April. You can go on Spotify for artists, pitch the music right now, and set up a countdown page. So what happens is when your fans come on your profile, they can already see a countdown clock leading up to the release dates, and they can click the pre-save button. So if you're able to say, okay, I have a song coming in, an album coming in 2 months, and across the next 2 months, every week I'm doing ads, I'm doing content to drive people to pre-save the album. If you're able to drive 1,000 people to pre-save the album, our data tells us that out of those 1,700 of them must listen to the songs in the first week, right? So even if you don't get any playlist support, you can already tell what your first week trajectory will look like. And usually, depending on how organic organically people engage with the music, it triggers the algorithm to recommend the music to more people, which I'll get into. That's our key to put our phones on silent if we can. It triggers the algorithm to let more similar listeners, the system recommend your music to similar listeners. And the editors had not gotten into the music up until that point. They begin to pay attention because there's a lot of organic traction going to the music. So please utilize these tools. They are not, it's like a lot of these tools, we have a very massive product team that before they launch a new product, it's been tested multiple times, there's multiple iterations before it goes live to the general users, right? So this product exists for you to utilize it in your own favor and your own interest. Does it make sense? Also, we have something called promo cards, which is just like, let's say you don't have a graphic designer, you can go here and generate promo cards, right? Let's say you want to celebrate a milestone. Let's say you get your first 1,000 listeners on Spotify. You can just go to this website, artistspotify.com/promo cards. It's free. You can generate promo cards for different milestones and different moments that you want to celebrate. All right. Again, these are all self-expression tools that exist if you have access to your Spotify for Artists, and it's really easy to claim. Okay. All right. Before we go into playlists, music discovery, and all of that jazz, which I think most of you are here for, any questions so far?
My question is about the artists that's about music.
Yeah.
How this work in that sense?
We have something called Spotify for podcasters as well. Exact same features, but now for podcasters, right? So those tools exist as well for different types of creators. They're all creator tools. Yeah. All right. Does that answer your question?
That's fine. Everything. So how can I use Spotify for Artists for DJs? So DJs who have their own songs, how does this apply to them?
Well, as long as you put out music, you're considered an artist, whether you're a DJ or whatnot, as long as it's your own original record. In the same way that an artist would distribute their music, you're going to have to distribute your music, right? So this applies to you if you're putting out original music, whether you're as a DJ or as an artist. You're the rights holder of the song in that instance. So it applies.
Okay.
Any other question?
Yeah.
I like this. This is engaging.
Hi. Okay, so my question is on the countdown page, right? Two questions. One, is there criteria for you to have before you can have access or the countdown page to be on your page? Then secondly, is the countdown page just for projects? Like, can you use it for singles as well? Because I've noticed there's sometimes where we have artists and we're not able to let the countdown go live because it's not showing.
Yeah, so the countdown pages are reserved for projects. As you can imagine, thousands and thousands of singles get released every day. It's not really sustainable to deploy countdown pages for every single song, right? So it's reserved for projects. But I'll say this in terms of its general access, anyone has access to the countdown pages now, right? So it was just made general access. So before we're testing the product, right? So the product is tested now and it's available to everyone. You can use the countdown page for an EP or an album, as long as it's a project. Hold on. Let's be sure that we're spreading the opportunity for people to ask questions. So since you guys have asked just now, hold your question, we'll come back to you.
So can you pitch your songs after it has gone live?
Usually, I mean, the straight answer is no, but for you to have to pitch your music after it's gone live, the pitching opportunity on Spotify for Artists, you won't see the option to pitch it already if it's already live. Usually, if you now want to pitch a song that's already gone live, you need to demonstrate why the editors should listen to it and consider it. So you might want to put together like a report, like a performance report. Oh, okay, in the first 1 month that I released the song, I got 1,000 listeners, but I've been doing marketing, it is multiplied to 10,000 listeners. Or on TikTok, we posted an organic whatever, and it got like 100,000 views. Or we got one radio station in Ibadan playing the music already without us even trying to talk to them. All of this matters, right? But this has to now be done by email. And you see the limitation if now, trust me, the emails I receive are too many and I may miss it. So it's smarter the tool exists before release. It's a pre-release effort, right? And so post-release is just like now you need data to back it up for someone to reconsider it, because the editors every day, there are over 60,000 songs being released on Spotify every day. So think about 60,000 records. If you put 60,000 people here, like it can't fit. So think about the human beings that have to listen and comb through 60,000 songs every day, not every week, every day, to determine what fits where, right? So obviously the priority will now be on what's coming, what's new, right? For them to go back to us, what is already out, there has to be a demonstrated reason for them to do that, because it's now taken away from their time, and that's not part of the process that's in place. But yes, we do that, but it's just now has to be manual.
So I have a question. I wanted to ask, what would you say makes a good and convincing pitch? Or is this solely on the quality of music?
It's a lot of things. That's a really good question. So we find that every single question that you're asked when you're trying to pitch your music, try not to skip anyone. They're going to ask you your location. They're going to ask you the genre of the music, all of that stuff. Try to put every single detail, right? Those are the things that make a convincing pitch beyond the obvious, which is the music has to resonate, right? Because sometimes this is how the tool works. Sometimes the editors are drilling down to say, okay, let me see what's coming out of Nigeria this week. So in the tool, they put on the filter to listen to everything coming from Nigeria, but you didn't put your country in your pitch. So that automatically, hold on, I'll come to you. That automatically eliminates you from being seen even within from the 60,000 songs that they have to comb through, right? Let's say the genre is R&B, right? And because you think Afrobeat is popping, you put Afrobeats instead. But your music is R&B, and there's an R&B editor sitting somewhere in LA saying, oh, I want to find out some R&B songs coming from Africa this year. And the filter, you get what I mean? So what makes a convincing pitch is checking all the boxes. And like I said before, I'll leave you with some resources, some websites, some microsites that have been dedicated to educating people around step-by-step what you should do so that you don't miss an opportunity.
Getting pitches from the artists themselves or the labels and distributors?
They don't really know who does it, honestly. Like the tool doesn't tell you that it was the artist that did it or was the distributor. As long as you use the tool, the Spotify for Artists app to pitch the music, it doesn't really label who particularly did it. I will say this to you as well. There have been instances where an artist is signed to a big label, but they are perhaps not priority to that label, right? And the label doesn't pitch the music on Spotify for Artists. But because the artist has access to their own Spotify for Artists, they go and pitch their music themselves, which is why I'm saying that it is very key that you have access to your own Spotify for Artists. No matter the type of deal you have, there's provision for you to have access to your Spotify for Artists. So you can even see what the label or your digital partners are doing and how committed they are to your goal.
So I'm curious, does the number of pre-saves affect my probability on getting to playlists?
Number of pre-saves. The editors don't look at the pre-saves, I'll tell you that for free. I think the pre-save really is to trigger organic conversion. Really, that's like an artist to fan expression too. It's not a editors to artists too, right? Like I can go and check how many pre-saves you have, but like I have other things to do. Do you get what I mean? That's really for you and your measurement of how your fans are converting and how you're able to drive them to action, right? So the editors don't consider that. But obviously, like I said, the more pre-saves you get, just mentally know that at least 70% of those people that pre-save, especially if you utilize a countdown page, because there are third-party pre-save platforms, but if you use the native one within the app that you have access to through Spotify for Artists, be rest assured that at least 70% of those people that pre-saved are going to listen to the music in the first week, right? And so that, like I said, once you have a certain number of people listening to it, it triggers the algorithm. It's like any other social media platform. Let's say you post a picture on TikTok or on Instagram, and in the first 1 week, 700 people like it. TikTok begins to recommend it to more people that have similar tastes. It's simple. It's the science of recommendation, right? So again, that's for you to sort of like, in my own opinion, game the algorithm in your favor. Any other question? There's still like a lot to cover, guys.
Yeah.
But so some of the questions, write it down so you don't forget. There'll be a final Q&A to go over everything at the end. But you can go.
Yeah, my question is, so for like when you're tracking data for like your listeners on Spotify for artists, is there any feature that shows you your like your top 5 or top 10 listeners as an artist? If you want to have data for like, these are the people that listen to me the most on Spotify. So like top 10, top 5, do you have anything like that shows data for those?
I would say like you want to see their names. Is that what you're asking for? I would say this in full transparency and in the interest of privacy of the users. All right, our privacy policy doesn't provide for us to reveal the names of the users to the artists right now. That's what it is. But you can tell their location, right? You can tell where they are. You can drill down to cities. So it's not just about Lagos. It's not just about Nigeria. You can drill down to Lagos, right? You can drill down to like cities, and then you can make educated decisions based on that. But our privacy policy does not allow us to reveal the names and personal information of the users. But I know that this is something that a lot of creators have asked for. This is something that a lot of creators have asked for. I think that it's been discussed internally around how to give artists more direct access to their fans. But right now, Spotify plays sort of like a middleman role, just in the interest of privacy policy. I think we should progress. So I want to talk to you guys about playlist and music discovery on Spotify. So I'm going to talk about our editorial playlists, our global curation groups. Someone is on the screen again. Personalized playlists, active streams, and talk a bit about artificial streams. Hello. How are you? I'm fine. How are you? Okay.
Because I have to go, and I wanted to quickly say something to the class. My name is Brenda. I lead the arts program here at the British Council. So I didn't want you to start your news. Yeah. Nice to meet you guys. It's really, hi, how are you? It's really to talk to you about what we do at the British Council quickly, and how you can join our database and be part of our community, right? So my name is Brenda Kashuba. I lead arts for British Council Nigeria. I work for Africa in creative economy, which spans across 14 countries. And we work in the arts in capacity development, sometimes collaborating with brands like MBA for Africa and Spotify, and sometimes we host our own. Our two current programs that we're doing one in film. We had a big incubator last year. People pitched for grants, £5,000, and then they made films. And the films will be shown on DSTV, I think, next week, but they've gone around the world. For our music program, what we've done is we've looked for opportunities for showcase. So our lobby turns into a showcase opportunity for, you have to be new, young, mostly still looking for support. If you're established, we won't work with you. It's not an offense. We're not offended. Hi, Kinney. How are you? We're looking for people who are just about to start their music career, who can sing, who don't know what next to do about performing. And this is just a test space. So what we'll do is we'll support you with marketing. We'll make sure people come, to see your thing. And there'll be a very nice DJ and sound, And then if you're really good, really, really good, maybe you could sell tickets, and keep the money. But that's how we want to support music, through capacity building like this and opportunities for showcase like that. So, Mercy, stand up. So if you want to join the database, please, this is Mercy, our intern. By the time you're done today, you can just, give her your information. It's usually just email, phone numbers, and all that. And then you can join that roster. So when we start the performances again, you can apply for the spaces that are available. Okay? Sounds good? Yeah. Awesome. All right, then. I'm going to go, but have a good class. Thank you.
All right. I'm gonna get into the playlist stuff now. So there are different kinds of Spotify playlists, right? The users, sorry, like I'm getting distracted. There are different kinds of Spotify playlists. The most popular ones are the ones called editorial playlists. So editorial playlists are playlists that the editors have to manually curate, right? And they're usually the most popular ones. Our most popular playlist is African Heat, and it's made like it's curated by actual human beings. Every single song was added by a human being, right? So it's human curation, right? So another type of playlist is something we call algotorial playlist. Is the algorithm generating playlist, and they're usually personalized, which you're going to see in the next couple of slides. But outside of editorial and algotorial playlists, there's something we have called global curation groups. So global curation groups is an internal network of editors across different parts of the world, right? Talking to each other every week to understand trends happening in different markets and how they can tap in and support, right? So many times people would think that, the only people that listen to your music as a Nigerian artist are the Nigerian editors. No, they have like a weekly meeting where they are discussing emerging trends, emerging talents, and what's moving, right? And it's like they're educating each other cross-culturally, right? And allowing music to move through that conversation, right? So that exists as well. And like I said, we have personalized plays, which is purely by the algorithm. Something I want you guys to know is personalized playlist is that each personalized playlist, if you have the Spotify profile, is different from, even if they are living in the same house and they created the account the same day, everybody's personalized playlists are curated by the machine to their individual listenership footprint, right? So if you like R&B stuff, your personalized playlist is going to have more R&B stuff. If the playlist notices that every afternoon you like to listen to up-tempo music, it is going to be shuffling to give you that, right? But something to also know, very key, is one of our most popular playlists that many people fail to see. If you go to your Spotify for artists now, even if you have access to Drake's or Kendrick's Spotify for artists, most of the streams don't come from editorial playlists. They come from personalized playlists. And this personalized playlist is machine informed, and you can trick the playlist, right? So like I said, if you have 1,000 people pre-save your album, the day that the album drops, it's going to go into their personalized playlist. Do you get what I mean? And so if you have people that follow you on Spotify, Spotify has a follow button, you can follow artists. Once people are following you on Spotify as an artist, when you put out new music, your music goes into their personalized playlists, right? And so that's why we encourage people to treat their Spotify like a social media, evangelize your fans to follow you on Spotify in the same way that they follow you on Twitter or on Instagram and everywhere else. Because all of that triggers the algorithm to personalize your music to them at different points in their day and at different stages in your release cycle. Does that make sense? So this one is not in the hands of the editors. The editors have no input whatsoever. It's just the machine learning listener habits and placing the music accordingly. And I'll tell you again, most of the songs from every single artist in the world on Spotify come from the listener's personalized playlist, because it is what the listeners like that the machine feeds them, and they like to usually stay there because many people are not really open to discovery like that. They like what they like, right? So if you want to feed into people that like you, get them to follow you, that's step one. If you have a project, get them to pre-save that step two, and the machine is going to do the rest of the work. Does that make sense? This is the point I already made before. That's the follow button there in the illustration. Get your fans to follow you. There's something called active streams on Spotify. Active streams is streams that come from people that actively come to your profile to seek you out, right? And those are your true fans, the people who give you active streams. And like I said, personalized playlists also fit into the active streams. So 60% of discovery on Spotify come through active sources, from people who come to search for you on Spotify, who follow you on Spotify, and who have added your music to their personal libraries, right? Again, this is entirely in your control, right? There's stuff that is in the control of the editors and whatnot, but it's all that's entirely in your control. Take full advantage of it. And you may even never need the editors at any point in your career, right? And you may never need to pitch the editors, because once everything is going together organically, they are forced to tap in, right? Because our editors they respond to movement, they respond to community, no matter how small. So if you're able to demonstrate on your own that there's 1,000 people that will listen to my music every week, like, you don't need to explain too much. That data informs the editors. They are looking at the data as well to inform some of their curatorial decisions. Does it make sense? So get your listeners and your fans to follow. Just click the follow button. And there's a notification bell in Spotify. The same way when someone likes your picture on social media, the app notifies that someone has liked your picture. When someone follows you, when you have new music, the app notifies them that you have new music. Really, it does. All right? And then services that seem too good to be true are really not true, right? Don't let anyone tell you that you can pay to get streams on Spotify. It's a lie, right? And you don't want to even get in the way of your own progress. If you go and buy fake streams of like 1,000 every week or 2,000 every week, you're depriving yourself the opportunity to even track your own growth. At some point, you begin to even believe your own lies, right? And when it's time to actually convert those streams to actual value, you're not able to convert. And that's why you see some artists have like 1 million streams, but they can't sell a 100-person capacity show, right? Like, it's going to come back and bite you. And I'll say this as well, we have penalties in place for people who do fraudulent streams. Number one, if the team, we have a weekly report of fake streams, a fake stream weekly report. What happens usually is they send an Excel spreadsheet from the global team of people that there's questionable streaming patterns on their profile. What happens, first of all, is your music is removed from every other playlist that's already been added to. But let's say you have like one playlist, for example, and you're hoping to get more. So you start doing some shady things. That one place that you already have, your song gets taken away. And not only that, you're put on a watch list. There's a lot of artists that are on our watch list. They just don't know. You're on the watch list. What happens when you're on the watch list is that you have new music coming and wonder, why am I not getting? I used to get one playlist at least back in the day. I don't get anyone anymore. It's because you're on the watch list, right? So they're monitoring your account for a given period of time. And sometimes we penalize your distribution partners. They are made to pay $5 or €5 fine for each time they detect fraudulent streams, right? So you don't want your distribution partners to be removing $5 from your small money that you're generating. Do you get what I mean? So if it feels too good to be true, trust me, it's not true. All right? So any question, comments on that?
There's some artists that get community ported. You were just there managing their business. 300% increase in stream, and you're like, where is this coming from? I didn't pitch, I didn't pay anybody, and then all of a sudden the song is taken down, and then you find out that it was started without flash and all that. And the reverse search and find out that non-cryptocurrency farming account on IG, but the one that ran that a certain playlist and botted everybody, put random people there, and you ended up there, and now you're paying for the crimes of that person. Meanwhile, you were just there minding your business, praying somebody listens to your music, and finally you thought somebody was listening, but you were botted without your consent, and now you're paying the price. So is there a way Spotify can filter this? Because I realized they've started targeting a certain demographic, because I make music as well, but I haven't really made music in a long time. But I realized that my friend group, we experienced the same exact thing from similar playlists. They were not all the same, but they were very similar. Always had something to do with mining or cryptocurrency or something of that sort. So, and a lot of us paid for it because streams were deducted, some songs were taken down, and now some people don't even get pitched, they don't get picked up after pitching anymore. So is there a way that this can be filtered so that people that did not do it don't get punished as well?
That's a bit tricky, but I'll tell you for free. When fraudulent streams happen, there's more likely direct connection to you than not. There have been instances where there's this guy, he paid a PR and marketing agency to help him with his release campaign. His intentions were pure, but the PR agency wanted to prove something to him, right? And so third-party people that you've paid to do legit work for you can go and do shady things in your name, and you're getting to pay the price for that. So I would say that many times you get into the ecosystem of these fraudulent streams because you've probably been associated with somebody that you didn't know is associated with them. Right? That's one. Then two, when you find that you can prove that you really had nothing to do with this, you can send what you would call your evidence as an email, and the team will manually investigate and take you off the watch list. So I'm going to give you and your friends my email address today so you can do that. Any other question?
How do you get to sustain your song on the playlist for a long time? And how do you get to go higher in the ranking? And I'm also curious, do artists posting about they got featured on playlisting on their socials, does it help or influence the effectiveness of the playlisting from that side?
I would say this. The first question was, how do you stay in the playlist? Once you're added to the playlist, it's now up to the listeners. So we have a particular data point called skip rate. What skip rate means is someone is talking, please. Sorry, I get affected by distractions. There's something called skip rates. The editors can see the songs that people are skipping the most in the playlist. So if they put you in this particular playlist and you have the highest skip rate, that means listeners don't like the music. They will have to take you off the music. So that's where the merit of the music comes to play. Without mentioning names, there have been times when some of the biggest artists in this world have been removed from play and they are complaining. But the data shows that the people don't like the music. But sometimes we find also that the people that listen to this particular playlist don't like the music. It's not that there are no people that like the music. Sometimes what the editors do is they take out the song from that playlist and test it with other playlists, right? And those other playlists, they are called feeder playlists. They are playlists that feed to the top. There was a video I was going to play here, but we had some technical issues. That video would have answered this particular question. So in Spotify, we have something called the playlist pyramid. The playlist pyramid shows that a song can start with a playlist. In that video, there was an example of Peru, Fireboy's Peru, how Peru started from a feeder playlist that had only 1,000 followers to get into the top of the food chain with our most listened playlist in the world called Today's Top Hits. There's a clear demonstration the week that Peru dropped, it was in only one playlist called New Music Friday in Nigeria. But people are people are listening to the song a lot when the editors are looking at the data. So once it performs well in the feeder playlist, the editors have to upstream it by force because the people have said we like this song, right? Because ultimately the editors are there to serve the interest of the people. Because if the people like the song, that means they'll spend more time within that playlist. And when the playlist performs well, the editors are doing their jobs. They might get a raise, right? So it's not about me or you, it's about the listeners. So the way to ensure that your song stays within the playlist is to make sure you're putting out the best record you can possibly put out, right? And sometimes your song might be taken off a playlist to be put in another one because they found that the listeners of this particular playlist the song doesn't quite resonate with them. What was the second question? Posting on social media. I think that generally this music thing, it's a game of perception meets many other things. I think that posting on social media contributes to the perception game for you, right? I remember what I said. It's important that you get your fans to follow you on Spotify. So posting on social media, I would think it should come with a call to action. It shouldn't just be, I'm on this cover, thank God. Do you get what I mean? It should be, I'm on this playlist, go listen to my song in this playlist. What that does is, it reduces the skip rate for you, so you can stay longer in that playlist, right? And if there's more people listening to your song in that playlist, the editors will find similar playlists like that and add you and add you and add you and add you and add you, and that's how you go up the food chain. Does it make sense?
Can I read them out?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the duration time you need to pitch, and does pitching through the app turn out effective, or better yet, email follow-ups are needed?
I would say this, email follow-ups are counterproductive if you don't pitch to the app. Like I said earlier, there's nothing we can do if you've not pitched to the app. So even if you have my email, don't email me if you have not pitched to the app. Like there's literally nothing I can do, no matter how much I like you and your music. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing the editors can do. That's one. The good thing is you can pitch a song that's coming out in 5 years now. Like you can pitch as far behind as possible, right? You can pitch a song that's coming out. I remember one of Alicia Keys was one of the artists that had the longest pre-save campaigns we've seen. She had an album that was coming out, I think sometime last year, but she already pitched the album like in 2022, so every time I go on the back end, I'm checking for what, I'm always miss Alicia Keys' album for 2 years later. But what that means is that it reinforces the fact that something is coming from this person and there's more time to consider it for programming. Do you get what I mean? So especially for emerging artists, I would say pitch as far ahead as possible so the editors have more time to spend with the music and consider it.
Okay. So another one says, how can producers utilize the app? Utilize Spotify?
You have to put out music, right? So the app exists for people that put out music. So as a producer, I guess put out music, and then the app will be available for your utilization.
Okay, the last question that we have here is, how many listeners does one need to get a pre-save tool?
Like I said, it's now available to general access, but the pre-save exists for projects. So if you're looking for the tool when you're releasing a single, you might not see it. But if you put down the project, you'll be able to find it. It's general access, like every other tool in the app now.
Okay. So you kind of answered this question, but I think I should just ask just for the person. How long should you pitch your song before release?
Answered. So we have a hard out of 1 o'clock. So we have exactly 25 minutes to wrap this up. So let's keep every other question for the end of, I think something's coming on the screen again. Is this?
No. Someone is sending
Notifications? Oh, okay. So let's keep all of our remaining, if you look in the tote box, you find Biro and pen, just write your questions just so you don't forget them. And there will be a final Q&A after I run through this portion. This is the last segment of the presentation. Is that fine? All right, so I want to talk to you guys about music programs and how we think about partnerships, right? So we've talked about playlists. Let's go into partnerships now. So any question you have, just write them. I'll try to entertain as many as possible. And then for the others, if I'm not able to entertain right here, maybe you can just approach me at the end of the class and we can have a quick one-on-one. Is that fine? All right. There are 4 prominent programs that we have that applies to our market. And so I'm going to run you through these different programs that we have. So number 1 is Fresh Finds, which I spoke to you guys about at the beginning of my presentation, right? Fresh Finds is for independent and emerging. That's your introductory interaction with Spotify. Like I said, if you don't know anybody at Spotify, there's a huge chance that you've gotten a Fresh Find playlist or you're going to get one, right? Because it's for people that people don't know. You can have 1 monthly listener or 0 monthly listener as long as the music is good and the editors find it, right? It could be that someone there have been times when I was on the internet and I saw someone just posted a tweet to say, let's say, An artist's name is Artist A. So someone just feel like, say, this artist, I just heard a new song by Artist A, the song is really good. I'm going to my Spotify to look for Artist A to just listen. And sometimes when I go, the person has just three monthly listeners. But listen, the song is really good. I'm saying, guys, the editors, please check this person out. So usually when they check you out and they like the music, it usually goes into fresh finds. So that's why I'm saying that Spotify partnerships exist across various levels. It's not just for the established, right? And so we have another thing called Radar. So Radar is like a tier above fresh finds. It's for artists that are mostly signed and they're on the cusp of like a breakout. We can see, everybody can see that there's something here. It just needs a trigger. It just needs something to be like a catalyst, and then this person will go, right? So people like that, we usually work with them with our Radar campaign, which I'll get into some of the details in the subsequent slides. And then we have Equal. And Equal is just our effort at leveling the playing field for women who make music, right? Like I said when I came here, look at the ratio of men to women in the room, for example, and it's Women's Month, right? So it means that there's a lot of work to be done in terms of bringing women to the conversation and helping them to feel like they are being seen and heard. So the Equal program stands for that. So usually it's a playlist. Sometimes it's, I'll just go in the next couple of slides, you see what I mean. And then we have something called Spotify Singles, which is a platform that exists for people to make covers to songs by other artists that they respect and they like. So this particular Spotify Singles, Victoni did it for Damiduro to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Damiduro 2 years ago, Davido's Damiduro, right? So we've had other artists do, I think there was an artist called Reaction, she did one for Tiwa Savage's Kele Kele Love or Wanted, I think when the song turned 10 years, right? So that's what we do with Spotify Singles. So I want to show you Fresh Find. So what Fresh Find, this is an artist called That Boy Miles. You know, at some point it was added to the Fresh Finds playlist and it was put on the cover of the playlist, right? And then he also got the post on our Spotify social media accounts. I don't know this guy, I've never met him before. Our editors don't know, we've never met him before. We literally heard the music and we sent him a DM. He said, oh, we like the music. He got on the cover, he got featured on Spotify Africa social media page for the first time. And he also got featured on with a mobile home banner to support the music, just off the strength of the music, without knowing anybody. Right, so that's how Fresh Finds work. And that's what I was saying at the beginning, that we're trying to make Fresh Finds now become more than just a playlist. It's now a property, which is why we're now doing IRL events and activation to connect even deeper with emerging artists, right? Where's that technical guy? It's not going. Just help me get to the next slide. All right, next. So Radar. So like I said before, Radar is usually for artists who we think they're on the cusp of something and we want to help them accelerate that. So since 2021, we started doing Radar in Africa. These are the artists that have enjoyed Radar, right? From South Africa to Kenya, to Nigeria, to Uganda, right? But some of the prominent names I can call out and I'll tell you, give you some case studies of how we accelerated their growth, right? So there's Thames, who was the first ever Spotify Radar artist in Nigeria. And if you go back in time to when Thames was Radar and when Thames blew up globally, you find the connection is there. You can just do your research. The same thing applies to Ira Star, right? Check out when Ira Star released that biggest song. That was when she was Radar, right? So what happens is the Radar program is a year-long program. Once you say you're a Radar artist this year, we're going to work with that artist throughout that year. So if they have a new single coming, we are forcing the editors. You must listen. And it's not just about Africa, it's about globally. Remember I told you guys about the global curation groups where editors are talking to each other across different markets. In those types of meetings, the editors are prioritizing our Radar artists to say, look, this artist is our priority in terms of someone that we think is about to go. Let's enable them in that way, right? So that's why I'm saying that you can always immediately draw the connection between when these artists have their big breakout moments to when they became a Radar artist. I'll give you an example, Tyler. Tyler was our Radar artist 2 years ago. We announced Tyler as our Radar artist 2 months before Water was released. If you look at, do you guys remember how Water went viral? She was dancing on the stage and she was, if you look in that video, there's a Spotify logo on that stage. So because she was a Radar artist, we had a partnership with a basketball league called Giants of Africa in Rwanda. So they said we should curate some artists. So we brought Tiwa Savage, Davido, and Tyler. At the time, she didn't have any song that anybody here knows. But we put her in that lineup because she's a radar artist. And she gave her best during that performance. And a clip from that performance is what went viral on TikTok. And that's how Water was born, right? So it's like really deliberate positioning that happens with radar across an entire year. But again, I know some of you might start asking, what do I do to get on radar? You have to do a lot of work on your own first. Because radar requires a lot of admin work, for example. We're going to be doing a lot of licensing of your music. And now if I'm emailing you to say, oh, I want to license your music, you don't even know the percentage splits, who are the different rights holders of the music. You don't have any percent of the music you own. You don't even have a publishing rep, all of these things. So there's a lot of homework you need to do. In fact, by the time you get to radar level, you will know. Do you get what I mean? If you're asking me, I want to get on radar, you're not ready. You're probably still fresh finds. Do you get what I mean? You would know, you would feel it, and you wouldn't have to reach us, we'll reach you, which is how it works. So all of these different artists have been radar artists. So when Ira Star, Benson, and Victor were radar artists in the same time in 2022, through radar, we had a partnership with Colors Studios. So all of them had their first ever Colors performance because of our radar partnership with Colors, right? So it was a partnership that Spotify did with Colors to position them in that way. To the average listener, they might not know what's happening behind the scenes, but there's a lot of intentional partnerships happening to position them because we think they are ready to go, right? Also, they have billboards across the world to support their different releases at different points. For all our radar artists, that's standard with radar. It's like we put a huge marketing budget behind it because we are convinced that you're ready to go. And you're not just ready in terms of just the music, in terms of your team, in terms of your state of mind, right? You can go and get your visa. If you say there's an opportunity in London tomorrow, you're not asking us, how do I get a UK passport? How do I get a UK visa? Do you get what I mean? You're ready, okay? This is a testimony that I'd like to share a lot. This was Victoria in 2021, and after I became a radar artist in 2022, this was his tweet. He posted a screenshot of his Spotify rap data, and he said he had 800,000 plus listens the year before, but after radar, he went to 62 million, right? And then that's a quote that Aresta shared with us after she was a radar artist, right? So it's like a lot of sleepless nights trying to position this artist, and more often than not, it pays off for both the artist and for Spotify. If you look here, it's screenshots of the different artists that we've done documentaries for. So today, the only documentary that exists about Tyler is a Spotify-produced documentary through Radar. So today, the only documentary that exists about Arasta is a Spotify-produced documentary through Radar. As all the noise that Charlie Poppy made in the past 2 years, the only documentary that exists, the Spotify-produced documentary through Radar. We went all the way to Auchi in Edo State to produce that documentary with Charlie Poppy. So it's a lot of work. So the artist has to be ready. Equal. Already said it's about leveling the playing field with women. One of our equal artists was King Maddie, where you can see that she gets a lot of love from Spotify because she's a woman. And we think that she's a woman that's ready with the right positioning. And equal is always rotated. It's not like Radar where it's like one person for 1 year. It's multiple women across the year, right? And then, any question on that one? Oh, I said let's skip the questions for. So I'm going to just go into other ways that we partner with artists, which is sometimes tied to in-cycle and off-cycle moments. It could be like the artist has an album and we are curating campaigns catered to that particular album. An example I can give is Ashake's Work of Art album. And by the way, Ashake was the first ever African artist that we launched the Spotify countdown page with. It was in beta. We're testing it at the time, and it was one of the first people that we tested it with in the African context, right? So we produced like a dedicated video to drive people to the countdown page. You can see artists cross-market amplification from Spotify and from the artist side as well. And there's one thing I want you guys to leave here with. It's the fact that the word partnership means that it has to be symbiotic. If you say Spotify should do X for me, you have to ask yourself, what are you doing bad for Spotify? Otherwise, Spotify is doing you a favor. It's not a partnership. right? So as you think about, oh, I want this, I want that, I want that, think about what's your brand equity, right? And what can it give back to Spotify? I don't want you guys to get too big where you can't even post your Spotify support on your Instagram story or retweets. Because at that point, it's like, okay, why is Spotify doing this? There's a million artists in the world. Why is Spotify choosing you? Do you get what I mean? So partnership decisions are influenced a lot by the artists and their team and the ability to give back in goodwill. Do you get what I mean? And all of that support, and in terms of results for Ashake, when that album came out after all of the stuff that we did, it became the Ashake's biggest day ever in terms of streams. So that particular day the album came out, that was when Ashake recorded his most streams ever in Spotify after this partnership campaign. It was the second most streamed album in the history of Spotify in Nigeria, and all of that good stuff, right? Another one I can point you guys to is Davido's Timeless campaign. I think that was more obvious to a lot of people, where we produced like the tracklist announcement. You can see that's a collab between Davido and Spotify. Davido actually posted the video. We're not chasing Davido to post the video. Because again, it goes back to value exchange. What's the value that you're exchanging for this thing that you're demanding? Because really, Spotify doesn't owe you that. What Spotify owes every artist is level playing field, where if you pitch your music, the editors listen, if they think it's a good fit, they program it. When Spotify begins to go out of our way to pay for billboards, to pay content production agencies to ideate, to produce, we're having sleepless nights with people in different time zones trying to think about what to do to position you and your project. That's a lot of work, right? So what's the value exchange from your side, right? And sometimes value exchange could just be artist co-promotion, where, oh, Spotify is promoting this thing in my favor. I should also be promoting like it's for me and joining that effort, right? And sometimes we ask your record labels to co-fund the exercise with us. Especially if we think the artist is a difficult artist, we just tell your label, look, you guys, this is going to cost us $50,000. Bring 25, we'll bring 25. So even if the artist doesn't post, it's fine. Yeah, so we did some merch for Davido and all of that. And then the immediate results, I don't need to go. That was like the most streamed album in the history. It's not even Nigeria, Spotify in Africa. That was the most streamed album. It broke all the records. I don't want to get into the details of that. Another thing I want to highlight is an upcycle campaign, which sometimes is curated based on what we have observed. Right? So we have FCB is Spotify is the headline sponsor of FCB. So we have some marketing pillars with the FCB team. We have this LED at the stadium that we usually use to promote artists and their releases sometimes. Okay. So around this time, Odumodu's album was coming. So we sort of like included him in this campaign with the FCB players, where we shot like a film that featured FC Barcelona players and Odumodu Black and Tenny, right? And that also included billboards across the world and all of these things, playlist programming that tied into the entire FCB exercise. But the most important I want you to see, I want to tell you guys why we chose Odumodu. Because I found that Odumodu is a fan of Barcelona. That was why. It just made sense. He had an album coming and he's a fan of the club. He always talks about the club on Twitter. This is a picture of him posting his FCB jersey back in the day. So for us to put him in a position where he can jump on a call with the board of directors of FC Barcelona as a young boy 5 years ago, dreaming, this is my dream club and all of that. So now have a partnership and a campaign with them where the FCB Barcelona channels across YouTube, Facebook, Instagram are posting Odumodu Black and his music, right? It made a lot of sense. And this was his tweet just talking about how I was on a call with Barcelona and FCB. It's funny how this is, I don't want to get into the details, but partnership can look, it can present itself in a lot of ways. But the one thing that is common is that it has to make sense. It has to make sense for the business. It has to make sense for the artist. All right, so that it translates to the fans. All right. So that's the end of my TED Talk. I'm gonna leave you guys with some resources, like I said. So if you go on this website, artist.spotify.com/artificial streaming, you will learn everything on all of our principles around artificial streaming, the penalties, the things to look up, and the things to avoid. All right. I'll give you guys some minutes to take pictures if you need to. All right, down the website if you need to. It's micro sites that you can go in 3 minutes. You skim through, you've learned everything you need to learn. You don't need to ask anybody at Spotify about artificial streams anymore. All right. Next, new release guide. If you go on artist.spotify.com/new-releases, everything I've spoken to you about, the right checklist, everything you should do to prepare for a new release, you find everything there. All right. And then I'll leave you with a loud and clear website, which I said at the beginning. This is a website where you see everything about how royalties move, how Spotify distributes the money that it generates, and how much it gives back to the right holders and the artist communities. And then if you don't like to read and you prefer to watch videos, just go to artist.spotify.com/videos. All of these things I've spoken about, there are different short clips that sort of like goes into them. All right. And there's also a Spotify YouTube channel, Spotify for Artists YouTube channel. You can go to learn all of these different things. There are some things that you might ask me that if you just go on YouTube, you find the answer. I shouldn't be saying YouTube at a Spotify event, but all right. So keep in touch, follow us across all our social platforms, and thank you. So, any questions, anything, just, okay. Iri, I'll need your help with this one. No, to decide who should ask this, and there's the mic for questions.
Sorry, can we see the hands again? Okay, I want to be partial. Let's just start from the back, because that's okay. Please pass the mic to him. Then you.
Good afternoon, Victor. Lovely speech. I really enjoyed every minute of it. So my question, I want to give in the form of like an example, right? And I don't mean to take us back to the whole playlist thing and all, but that's what my question is centered around. So it's like, let's say I'm Nigerian, right? But I make electronic music, right? So how do I kind of break the region barrier in the sense that like I'm releasing new music and I want to pitch it, but I don't want to end up on New Music Friday in Nigeria. I want to end up on New Music Friday UK, on a New Music Friday Europe or something. How do I pitch to playlists in a different region? So I'm not known as an African artist that does electronic music. I'm just known as an artist that does electronic music.
All right, I think I touched on this. We have different, like right now, if I want to see all the electronic music coming out of Nigeria for the next 1 year for people that have pitched, I can find it on my laptop right now because they've put the genre when they're pitching the music, right? So the editors usually filter by genres. They don't necessarily look at, oh, I'm in London, I'm not going to touch anything that's coming from Africa because that's not my country. No, that's why they have culture, the global culture curation groups I told you about, where each market is educating different people about the different movements happening across different markets. Everybody now knows that dance music is the thing from Africa, right? In Nigeria, it's emerging. These DJs, Afro house DJs popping out everywhere. In South Africa, that's the main thing that they do, right? There are times when artists from Africa have been on the cover of the biggest dance plays in Spotify history. It's called Mint, M-I-N-T, right? They just pitched the music and the music was really good and they had some strong listener numbers to back it up. You got what I mean? So I would say that, again, if you make dance music, don't put Afro beats in the genre section because you're in Nigeria. Put dance music. When the editors are featuring, you're going to come on that video and they're going to listen. If the music sounds strong and it resonates, they're going to program it.
Hi, so I'm gonna talk about the partnership with artists, right? Because I want to know if it's limited to only signed artists.
You came late.
Wow. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. But we had one of the first slides, we're talking about some partnerships that we did with unsigned artists. But I can do a quick recap. It's called Fresh Fine Sessions, where we had unsigned artists, 12 of them. We had 6 producers and we had 3 songwriters in the room for 3 in the house for 3 days making music, and we brought some mentors, SARS, Oxlade, Loj, World, Black Bones, and all of that. They were not signed. How we got most of them on board was that we heard the music, we liked the music. We don't know who their managers were. We manually went to their Instagram DMs to let them know that we would like you to be a part of this. So it's not for only signed artists. Spotify partners with artists across different tiers. But I also say that you kind of want to manage your expectations as well. Do you get what I mean? Because again, back to value exchange. If Spotify is going to spend, let me try to think about what that Fresh Find session cost us. Let's say Spotify spends $100,000 on a campaign. What's the value of, we know what the value is to the ecosystem, but what's the value back to Spotify? Because that's money that needs to be accounted for, right? So many times you will find that the partnerships we do with lesser known artists, they might not be as expensive as the partnership we do with bigger artists, but they're always very intentional and super curated as well. But we do start with a lot of emerging artists.
Thank you. Yeah, good afternoon. You mentioned Spotify single alongside the program you listed. So I was thinking, if artists will make covers of original music, how does the licenses process and the clearance? Can you just walk us through that process?
Okay, this is not a licensing and rights holders masterclass, but I can just give you the basics, right? Every song has what they call the masters and the composition. You ask the question, but you're not listening. Should I skip? Every song, every recorded song has the master side and the composition side. The master side usually belongs to who funded the music. So if you're signed to a record label, many times they own the masters because they give you the budget for recording and all of that, right? Then the composition is about the producers, the people that wrote the music, the songwriters, and sometimes if the artist also writes their own music, that comes under composition, right? So that's where you're publishing, the publishing rights on that is under composition, right? So if you make a cover to a song, you're paying for your own studio session, or you're re-recording the song, so you own the masters of the new recording. But the composition, the melody was written by somebody, right? Even if you change some of the lyrics, the melody is part of the composition. So if you make a cover, the composition still belongs to the original people that created the song, right? So you might need to clear that with them, especially if you're going to put the music on a platform where you're likely going to make money back if it's for commercial use. But if it's for like non-commercial use, there's something called fair use, where you're uploading it somewhere where it's not monetized, they can let it fly, all right? But this is not a session to discuss that. That's like a whole different thing in itself.
All right, thank you. Let's break
Hi, good afternoon.
I can take two more.
Can I just sharply say my question?
Who are the people that raised their hands before? Let's take all of them.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. My question goes to the playlist. There are some self-created playlist creator that they do use artificial ways of generating playlists. Are there metrics whereby an artist trying to pitch to them knows that this particular curator is not 100% legit to avoid the song being bring down or being flagged out?
Well, the thing about everybody that has a Spotify account can make their own playlist, whether it's popular or not. So that's their right. These people, you're talking about third-party people, just use that creating their own playlist and their playlist becoming popular and you want them to program your music. Spotify has no control over that, really. So it's now for you to use your discretion to say, okay, let's say, how long has this playlist existed for? Why does it suddenly have 1 million followers? Do you get what I mean? So like you have to discern that for yourself, really. All right, because that's like taking away the right of someone to make their own playlist. We can't take that away from users. But again, we don't support such playlists because we can't speak to what goes into the curation. Do they collect money from you guys to put your song on your playlist? We don't know. Do they use artificial? We don't know. So we don't back independently or individual own playlists. We only back our own curated playlists because we know that our integrity and everything is checked.
Thank you.
All right, some hands are raised. So once you're done, just keep it saying.
Okay. So I'd like to know if there are data that can help with decision on release time. And then secondly, I don't know, you didn't mention autoplay as a tool. I don't know if you could talk on that.
Autoplay is part of the personalized algorithmic recommendation. It's a machine learning if both of us now want to do autoplay, for those of you who don't know, autoplay is when you play a song, the next song that plays is Spotify recommended, right? So if my taste is, if I like Kendrick, a lot of Kendrick, and I play one Kendrick song, and the machine wants to recommend songs for me, the machine is probably not going to recommend someone that sings songs like Drake. Do you know what I mean? It's going to recommend songs that align with the Kendrick archetype. Do you get what I mean? So like, there's really not much to say. It's just the machine learning user behaviors and trying to improve on recommendation in that way. And in terms of like data to inform when you should release that, like I don't have the data. You can release your music whenever you think you want to release it, but just check all the right boxes before you release the music, and I think you'll be fine.
Awesome. So about the post pitch, I wanted to get your mail.
I'll give you.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
But don't spam me though.
Okay, I wanted to point out there's something I was actually looking out for. It's something I found out recently in one of the artists that I work with. So I think Spotify sent him a mail. It's called Discovery Mode and Campaign Kit, but it's not enlisted yet. Is this something that is being selected for a selected few right now, or?
If you go on this artistspotify.com page, there's a discovery mode section where you set the criteria for discovery mode. Everything is there. I don't want to go into all the details, but you have to have like a minimum of 5,000 streams, lifetime streams. You have to have a minimum of like 1,000 monthly listeners, because the machine needs, discovery mode is really the machine supercharging recommendation for you. So the machine needs existing data to recommend. So it's not for an artist that's never put out music. What's the machine learning from? Right. So the machine needs to see like historically what kind of people that like your kind of music, because you put out music and there's at least 1,000 people that care.
Do they have to apply for it?
You don't apply as an artist, your distributor has to. But I know that a lot of these independent distributors already signed up to Discovery Mode. I think this showcase is on Discovery Mode, Video is on Discovery Mode. I think United, like a lot of this. Yeah, I think they are all already on the Discovery Mode program. So if you're distributing through a partner that's on Discovery Mode, it should, on their personal dashboard, you should see the option of if you meet all the other Spotify criteria like I've mentioned. But there's a Discovery Mode section in some of those websites I've just shown you. Or just hit Google. Google is your friend. You just Google Spotify Discovery Mode criteria, you see the criteria.
Okay, no problem.
Hi, good afternoon. Talking about personalized playlists, you mentioned a trick. Now, you only talked about follow and presets. I don't know if there are other special tricks that an artist can make use of to enhance their listenership.
I think start with those ones. Have you already started in those ones?
Oh, no.
Just start with those ones.
All right.
Yeah. That's the foundation. That's why I'm saying start there. That's the foundation.
So a question here says, what parameters do you need to fall in to qualify for Spotify Discovery? Okay. Should I move on to the next question?
Please.
All right. Does running ads on your Spotify link do anything to attract listeners?
Running ads through third-party platforms with the call to action to your Spotify.
Person didn't state that.
I don't know. I think doing ads do what ads do, right? I can't speak to how Facebook ad fares in terms of conversion, right? But I think that that's something that I'm sure these platforms have data to inform how many people are converting to your actual, destination when you're doing the ads. So I think that if you're running ads, the platform you're running the ads, we should be able to inform you about whether or not it's good use of your money or not. But I really couldn't. It's a really broad question.
So is there anything for DJs? Like everything's artist.
Are you a DJ?
No, so I'm a brand manager for a DJ. That's why I'm
Because this is a second DJ related question. So I would say this. I think that we are under indexing in terms of DJ tools. What that means is that I think we could do more with and for DJs in terms of the tools that we have. I can tell you the limitations, but this is not the place for that. Mm-hmm. But I can also guarantee you that our product team are working on our DJ tools and they'll start rolling them out soon.
So just as one, those DJ tools, are they just for new DJs, like emerging DJs? Because I work with a very non-DJ, so I want to know like where we can come in and
How would you rank your DJ without saying the name?
Yes, I work with consequences.
Okay, so we have something called, but it's the reason why our DJ tools, I can mention the ops just for the examples, Apple Music, right? Apple Music, Apple Music, Apple Music, they have I think they're doing really well in terms of their DJ mixes, right? But the trick to that is because they have Shazam. I can explain the technicality for you. So if you do like a DJ mix of like 50 songs, these songs are not the DJ songs. So you have to allocate the rights to the people that own the songs. So if you upload like a DJ mix of like 1 hour, 100 songs, because they have Shazam has this audio identity technology that automatically is able to identify the song and allocate the rights without someone having to manually say track 1 is this person, track 2 is this person. But when we do DJ mixes, because we're still developing our DJ tools, someone has to sit down and manually take the metadata for each song and allocate it so that when the streams are coming in, the revenue is going to the right holders. You get, and that's not sustainable at the moment, right? And that's why I'm saying that our product team are working on our DJ tools. It's not lost on them. It's something that they've been working on, and they'll start rolling it out soon.
Sorry, I also have ask a question. How can a distribution company like partner with Spotify in terms of playlists, pitching and placements?
Typically, it depends on your kind of deal. Shadi, do you want to answer? Your distribution company, but it depends on your kind of deal. Typically, they'll take the burden of pitching from you. Typically, so they would, this Spotify for artists I'm talking about, they would usually have access to your Spotify for artists. They will always force you to know that you have to submit the music so they can pitch it far ahead of time. They'll collect all the right dimensions of the artwork from you. They'll make you know that, if you're shooting a music video, we need the 10 seconds cut as like a repeating that we can use as a canvas. They kind of know best practices, and they'll just take that burden away from you. And a lot of the things that I've just spoken about, they know it already, and they'll just make sure you do them. That's the role of a distribution platform beyond taking percentages from your money.
Good afternoon, all. My question is in line with DJs. What's in place for live music?
Live music?
Yeah.
Like Spotify partnering along?
In terms of like ingesting live music.
I think it goes back to that audio identity thing, right? If your live music is just a lot of licensing conversation that needs to be had now around all of the songs that you're playing in the live music. Who owns the right to the songs? The DJ doesn't own the right to most of these songs, right? So the rights have to be allocated to the owners of the rights. And so we are trying to automate that metadata identification system. So I think those are the limitations that we have right now. But like I said, trust me, that it's been in the works. And I can tell you for free, I can say that Spotify has the best music products in the world. So if it's taking this long to roll out, they're working on the best product for DJs. You can be rest assured.
Hi, good afternoon.
I think that this does not apply to the people online. I think Mo has some drinks and some snacks for you guys, and they're just going to share. But this is the end of the class.
Sorry, I thought they would take more questions. It's more like 2 people.
Guys, it's past 1 o'clock. Yeah, like the 2 people, you can just walk up to me. We can have a quick chat. I think that's.
Okay, can walk up.
Yeah. Thank you.
I hope we had a very great time. Right, we learned a lot, and just like you said, if you have any questions, you can of course go to him. And let's not forget to network, right? And try to meet people here and there, because you don't know where those relationships are going to take you. So to wrap up this session, I'll be calling on the Assistant Program Director for the MBA, and I'm talking about no other person. If your hands are not too busy, please put your hands together for focus. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, guys. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to Spotify for having this masterclass with the MBA for Africa. One of the key things we strive to do at MBA is to connect people to information, connect people to resources, and also connect people to opportunities. This is the first time I will be in a room where a streaming platform is actually having a masterclass with the users and also some of the artists as well who use these platforms. I believe in here we have managers who their artists have songs on Spotify. We have artists here as well who have songs on Spotify. So it's kind of an amazing thing that we have Spotify doing this, going the extra mile to teach us about the platform and also how to navigate the platform. One thing I would say is make use of the connections you have here, interact with people, gain insightful connections that can be useful to you and your team. And also, one thing I will always say, it's all about exchange of value. So be mindful of that as well. Enjoy yourselves. We have refreshments outside. So thank you once again and have a great day.